Hello again and welcome to Pearl Magazine. In Hong Kong, there are now 15,000 asylum seekers and refugees. Typically, they don't have the right to work here and must spend many years waiting for their case to be decided upon. Tonight, Pearl Magazine's Tina Jiang meets the community to learn more about their culture and to hear their stories. June 20th is International World Refugee Day. In Hong Kong this year, this group of refugees and asylum seekers have gathered in Central to celebrate the day and honor those who have been forced to flee their home country.
I'm so excited for today, super excited.
Sophie came over from Africa. She has been living in Hong Kong for over 10 years.
I prepare the drumming and dancing. I help them to do the rehearsal, to create the move. I touched everywhere in preparation.
She also designed the clothes for a fashion show and the performances, using a fabric from her culture that's meaningful to her.
So this fabric, we call it African fabric in Hong Kong. We used to wear this kind of pattern or fabric in different events in my country, like wedding and all of that, the drumming. All the African countries, they have different name of this, but same fabric. It's like united fabric to all of us.
Currently, Sophie helps a local NGO manage a special program for female refugees and asylum seekers to create arts and handicrafts while teaching them entrepreneurship skills.
In different countries, women has to stay home, and they always tell us, like, you need to stay home, take care of the kids. But to be honest, we have different skills, different idea that we can bring out to the public to show people what we can do as a woman. Today, they are going to show them up.
My beautiful attire is made by our wonderful clients. Today, you'll see some remarkable women who maybe 6 months ago had the worst turmoils in their life, and today they are leaders here, and I'm so proud of that. Sadly, there's a lot of misunderstanding or labeling of refugees as fake. In our center, we want to show that no, there are many of them who are genuinely being persecuted.
Jeffrey Andrews is a social worker who has been serving the local refugee community for 14 years.
In the social work context, we also say we don't want to always give fish to the person, but we teach them how to fish, so eventually they become self-sustaining, and that's what we see in our programs, the skills that we offer them. Our theme is dignity in action. We don't want to celebrate the fact of being a refugee, but we want to celebrate the fact these are the most resilient people that we serve.
Away from the event in Central, inside the studio here in Taiwan, 3 cooks from the refugee community are busy preparing a dinner for the public to introduce them to the taste of their home.
Make ورق عنب and falafel. And ورق عنب, it's like leaf of grapes, this one. Put inside rice, tomato, onion, green coriander, and basil also, mix together and make these rolls. Falafel eat with pita bread and hummus, this best one in Egypt.
This woman, who would only be identified as Nana, is an asylum seeker from Egypt.
I am Christian. I have problem in Muslim in my country. Muslim country don't like Christian or another religion. They try attack to me and my children, and they said to me, next time, not just attack, we kill. I can't stay in this country. I must leave.
Nana came to Hong Kong with her family in December 2014 and began seeking asylum. But she had no idea that Hong Kong isn't exactly paradise for asylum seekers.
I don't have a lot of money. Every day I cook. Yes, this is my routine. The government here don't take careful for refugee or asylum seeker. Just say, okay, we give to you safe, but don't ask again for anything, for money, for life, for if you're happy or sad. No. Government here use the refugee people or asylum seekers like animal. Say, go here, stop here, stop here. but for us, cannot do anything.
Shama is another refugee cook helping with the dinner preparations. 13 years ago, she had to flee her home country and settled in Hong Kong.
I come from Sri Lanka. I have own business, my restaurant, and I am also chef. My husband, we are together. Big restaurant I have. 2008, they attacked to my restaurant, so destroy everything, kidnap my husband, and giving torture. Main problem, religion. That's why I leave the country with my family. I want to save my children's life.
Shama was confident that with her knowledge and skills, she would be able to continue her restaurant business in any place.
Curry powder, my own recipe. I never buy from curry powder from outside. I make myself. I have my own talent. I have my two hands. But unfortunately, we are not earning any money. I have to be at home always thinking how I lose my everything.
Shama and Nana are just two of the 15,000 or so asylum seekers who are stuck in Hong Kong. Typically, they have to spend years waiting here to claim refugee status, and the rejection rate is over 99%. During this time, they are not allowed to work and must survive on a monthly allowance, $1,500 for rent and $1,200 for food. Tegan Smith is the founder of a local charity that works with refugees and asylum seekers on a variety of programs. This time she's organizing a multi-course vegetarian dinner engaging 3 refugee cooks.
In the case of Refugee Week, we've identified 3 culinary talents. We're showcasing 4 cuisines: Egyptian, Sri Lankan and Indonesian. We're also partnering with a Ukrainian restaurant in Hong Kong because we wanted to demonstrate that actually there's a human story behind the food as well.
She says Hong Kong is a challenging destination for asylum seekers.
You're sort of stripped from your identity. You also don't even have the ability to start from scratch because you're sort of in a limbo. We introduce and regularly use food and ingredients that come from different countries, but the same could not be said about people who come from those countries of origin necessarily.
Originally from Indonesia, this asylum seeker has been in Hong Kong for 16 years. Identified only as LK, she knows this exact feeling.
The food that we're preparing today seems like it's very simple, very easy, but actually just like our lives, it's not easy. I make tempeh skewer, which is made from fermented soybean, cut it and fry it and put some ingredients like seasoning. I also make achar, which is basically a fresh pickle.
She first came to the city as a domestic helper. But after she got married to her husband, a refugee seeking asylum here, she said she made a wrong decision to join him in seeking asylum.
Being a domestic helper, despite lack of respect or discrimination, somehow you still have your freedom. Being a asylum seeker, we don't have freedom at all. Yes, we're free to move around in the city, but actually we are prisoners. I have 3 kids, very talented. And there is so many times they're supposed to have the opportunity to travel, like for the competition and the school trip, but they're not allowed to go. That is humiliating. And as parents, watching our kids having that kind of difficulties make them feel different from other students, it really hurts.
There's a huge community of children that are born to asylum seekers in the city, even multiple generations. As a society, it would be good if people tried to find ways to support the community a bit better, to integrate and also provide opportunities to the children especially, because they don't call anywhere else home except for Hong Kong.
A food designer, Alison Tan, has been working with Tegan and her charity on a few dining events. And today she provides a venue and helps facilitate the chefs.
Food is perhaps the most global language of welcome and hospitality. So I'd like people to think about what it took for them to be able to one night go eat Turkish food, another night to enjoy Japanese, and another night to go out for tacos? What does it mean that our cuisine options are borderless and yet our policies do not have the same approach? I have been anticipating this dinner for weeks. It was really incredible to see these people that have not always been made to feel like they are invited to Hong Kong or that they fit in Hong Kong, and have them stand before an audience that all came to eat their food.
Dinner is scheduled to start at 7:30 p.m., but many diners came early.
I have to say, as a Mexican, I like strong flavors. And this one definitely appeals me. It's very nice. I have been supporting the different organizations on the refugees.
Alice Farmer is another guest.
It's really delicious, and I want to have another one, but I'm trying to make it look less visible, that I'm gonna go back for more. It's very different to what you can get in Hong Kong. I'm looking forward to hearing their stories tonight and gaining bigger understanding about the community.
We're not here to, tell people what to believe, but in a way, you shape your beliefs through experiences. We'll sort of get all the diners to think about who they are, where they themselves come from, while they're trying the food from a refugee community. As a result of the event, not only are they, more cognizant of refugee issues in Hong Kong, maybe they're also reflecting on their role when it comes to contemporary migration.
When we return, how residents in a border village attempt to revive rural living. Stay with us. Welcome back to Pearl Magazine. Rural villages have seen their population dwindling as farms struggle to stay in production. One Hakka village at the border of Sha Tau Kok used to have a prosperous agricultural industry. But as people moved out, only a few indigenous villagers remain. A plan to rebuild and revitalize the border town is underway. Reporter Alice Khan went to find out how conservation and tourism might bring new life to the village. This rural area in the northeast New Territories is historically inhabited by the Hakka people. Today, most of the villages are abandoned.
Our house is hundreds of years old. It's dilapidated. Debris is everywhere inside.
It's a very rich culture, local culture. It's fading. We are caring about our environment and its sustainability for rural-urban integration.
We are able to do basic restoration to make the house work, try to attract their own, next generations, but also the young people here.
In the 2017 policy address, former Chief Executive Carrie Lam pledged to preserve the countryside and develop ecotourism to revitalize the nearly deserted villages. To protect the natural ecology, revitalize the villages, and preserve heritage resources, the Countryside Conservation Office, or CCO, was set up in 2018. Now the CCO is under the Environment and Ecology Bureau. The government earmarked $1 billion to support countryside conservation initiatives implemented under the CCO, $500 million of which will be deployed to provide financial support to local NGOs, universities, and villagers through the Countryside Conservation Funding Scheme for organizing conservation projects in the remote countryside.
Our duty is to coordinate different conservation efforts, village revitalization or nature conservation efforts through injecting some money. When some positive results are seen by the community, then it will run and sustain.
As of now, a total of 43 conservation and revitalization projects amounting to roughly $209 million have been approved. This includes 6 government-funded projects in Kok Po. Kuk Po is an area to the south of the Starling Inlet. It is next to the Sha Tau Kok Frontier closed area. The coastal area is mainly wetland and mangroves. It consists of several Hakka villages, now mostly deserted because villagers left to work overseas decades ago.
This is a 300-year-old village, and you can see in the old days, about in 1960s, it is a paddy field. So many people grow rice here, but nowadays it is abandoned. And then it's become a mangrove and a conservation area. In 100 years ago, there are more than 500 people living here, and most of them are farmers.
Villages scatter the area. There are long Hakka row houses built along the river. The largest walled Hakka village is located in Lo Wei. In the valley, there are a few standalone houses. Currently, only a few people live in Kuk Po, but some come back on the weekends. The village chief, Lee Muk Sing, was born in this 90-year-old standalone house. He and his wife returned to the village 2 years ago because of the pandemic. They resumed farming mainly for self-use.
We want to grow organic, healthy food, and we want to share with others.
Mrs. Lee, what do you grow?
We grow Pidaria, we grow this plant. It is for making cakes. If used for Chinese medicine, it is prescribed to relieve heat, remove toxins.
Since the end of last year, their daughters have been coming back over the weekends, hoping to revive the village. This house has typical Hakka architectural features: the beams, the gray tiles, and the small windows, which is meant to stop robbers from entering the house. They still cook with the old-style stove.
It doesn't have any structural problems for the time being, but there are problems such as water leakage and termites. The termites could eat up the wood. If the main beam is eaten up by termites, there is a risk of collapse.
Lillian says they asked the architecture department of Chinese University to help them get government funding to restore the house. She says a livable house is an incentive for villagers to come back.
So if the houses are restored, the villagers will come back to live here.
This morning, Thomas Chung of Chinese University School of Architecture brings his students to Lee's house to check the beams and floor. They check the wooden staircase, windows, tiles, and roof.
Professor Chung, then after you checking the whole house, any problem you find?
Yes, we found that, first of all, the roof with the tiles and the beams, if they are too old or too dilapidated, we'll change them. Same with the tiles.
The window?
Yes, and I think we looked at the windows. They used to be openable, to allow natural ventilation. Then later they blocked it. We have to reopen them, replace them with new windows. This traditional architecture, which is very good, low carbon, passive ventilation.
What else?
Yes, and we also found this timber stair, 90-year-old, a little bit unstable now, so we will check every step.
Thomas says restoring the house will help preserve the heritage here.
The mansion itself is very special. It actually represents the era in the 1930s when the villagers went abroad, let's say to the US, to make money, to send back, to be able to afford bigger mansions. And also they bring in the Western influence, like the curved features on the top, unlike the Lo Wei, which is a walled village, or let's say Mtou, which is a kind of row houses. This is a standalone villa in the middle of the field.
As it is a government-funded project, the owner is required to open the house to the public. Thomas's team also helps the family come up with some eco-living activities for the public. Lillian has been organizing Hakka eco-experiences and workshops since last year. This afternoon, Mrs. Lee teaches this group of university students to make Hakka chargor with freshly picked leaves.
We made some traditional Hakka chargor, and I really like the landscape and the atmosphere. It's really quiet and peaceful.
Lillian has been running an eco tour since the beginning of last year. Today she takes the group around Kuk Po to see the landscape and ruins of this 300-year-old walled village in Lo Wei.
This is an ancestral shrine. A lantern is lit here when a baby boy is born.
There's a lot of cultural heritage that is untapped by the normal Hong Kong people that not a lot of us know about. Let's say, because a lot of people, they come to Hong Kong, they think about the entertainment industry.
If we want to revive the village, at least the village has to be known by the public. So I organize workshops and tours for the public to let them understand the culture and the history of the village.
The Kai Choi School is located at the entrance of the village. It is listed as a Grade 3 historical building. It was built in 1932. The school was abandoned in 1993. This annex used to be a classroom. Hong Kong University obtained government funding to restore the annex. CCO head Stephen Tang showed us the progress of the restoration.
The old truss, one is they're rotten, the other is they're too thin of today's standard. So see there are new truss, keeping its basic character, but introducing new windows to bring in light.
Stephen, this is a funded project, then what's the significance?
Well, this is a community's living room. Hopefully the new generation and the old generation can meet here. Visitors coming here. This annex was built in the 60s. It was funded by the villagers who were overseas. You can see this plaque. And these names were the donors who were overseas.
Apart from this annex, Professor Wei Zhenwang of Hong Kong University also got government funding to rebuild a ruined garden for communal use in Lo Wei.
My ways of building up Kok Pok vision, which is Kok Pok start to have a few places that we as a Hong Kong citizen can visit. And also the villagers have places that take pride and they maintain it. If we can successfully sustain the 5 or 10 buildings or site over here, and that will be a good foundation to build up a kind of micro economy.
That's our show for this week. Next week, in part 2 of the story, we look at whether the pace of revitalization of an old village speeds up as the government gradually opens up restricted areas of Sha Tau Kok. See you then. Bye for now.